Worldwide, there are about 400 or 500 people who have visited every country in the world. Somewhere in 2008, we heard about the first person who visited every country in the world. Who was not the first one, but the internet did not care about it. The news websites needed someone who has recently traveled to all countries. And it could be posted on the main page. What does it matter if already someone else visited every country 30 years before? At this moment, in the new social media society, the real adventurers and the rich snobs, sorry for the language, have lost the opportunity to be the first. Narcissistic people cannot feed their ego. And then the madness and the virtue broke out. The snobs needed to find something else to make it to the front page of the news, so they could say that I am the first. There is no limit to foolishness when fame is the goal. And then came the youngest traveler, the fastest, the first woman who traveled every country in the world. But wait, if the man and woman are equals, why do we have to say woman? That is discrimination, isn't that? Okay, I'm just joking. So, the youngest, the fastest, the oldest, the first woman, the ugliest. Oh, that's me. But seriously, there are dozens of them who proclaim why they are the first one. If you think the ego ended here, not even close, then came the combination of these. The youngest and fastest woman, the youngest and fastest American, the youngest and fastest Briton, whatever. I simply can't keep up anymore. Always they just try to prove that why they are more special than the others who also traveled all countries in the world. Why we just cannot enjoy the fact we're traveling a lot. Or why do I have to say that I am the best? Why we can't just say that I am the happiest traveler? I never heard from anyone to say this. I will be the happiest world traveler who visiting every country in the world. Do you think this is the end? Nope. Then the big news arrived. The first person who visited to all countries in the world twice. What? Second time? I think this is the end. No more snob record breaking. I think that in 30 years, when we will look at these kind of snobs, we will see in the news this. The first person who have visited every country in the world 5 times. Or, I don't know. Where is the end of this madness? Anyone else? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. There is so much more money to spend. You can do better. Is it him? Or her? Or is there anyone else? No? Nobody else? Ah, there he is. That's him. Once I met this man. He said that he had visited 25 countries in a month. This means that he spent 1 day and 1 hour in each country. What can be seen in such short time? What? Is this a joke? He also said that he wants to be the greatest, the greatest traveler of all time. Whatever that means. 100 snob tourists out there describes themselves with this title. The most traveled person. The greatest traveler. The greatest adventurer. But 25 countries in a month? You know what? I think he's the best. Yeah, I give the credit. Or maybe not. I think no one can break this record. This is the end of the story, huh? Or... aha! There he is. The new one, the first one, the best one. There is this Norwegian man who traveled through 19 countries in 24 hours. No, guys, I just give up. I stopped to travel. I stopped everything. No, that's it. That's it. Yes, you heard it well. 19 countries in 24 hours. I guess he used his private jet, or that's my personal opinion. I don't think it's possible to visit 19 countries in 24 hours. I couldn't imagine there will be any more snobby champions beyond that. But I found these two men are another of the biggest travelers and champions of spending money. They visited 30 countries in 24 hours. Yes, you heard me right. 30 countries in 24 hours. But, guys, this is madness. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not war traveling. Some millionaire snobs are competing to see who can spend their money faster. This has nothing to do with war travel. The essence of the travel has been completely lost due to this narcissism. Egocentric and narcissistic tourists who don't even try to enjoy the place or the culture or just learn there something. They just try to break records and just only count the number of the countries. In a moment, it turned into a selfie-making journey. Nothing else. Let's dive into this topic. I will tell you how many of them are just fake tourists. I will also tell you why you should not be envious of them. Let's start the snobbery. But intro. My name is Richard. I'm a war traveler man. Self-defense instructor. Roller skating champion. And stuntman. I left my home country and the toxic Eastern Europe in 2014 to find a new home. I've been traveling ever since. I've been to 100 countries and 7 continents. I have read more than 800 books and learned 3 different languages. My name is Richard. I grew up in one of the most violent ghettos in East Europe, where I was a street fighter as a young man. For about 15 years, I studied martial arts like Kung Fu, Krav Maga, Eskrima, stick fight and knife fight, and Samurai sword, and a few other styles. I have survived several assassination attempts. I've been a roller skating champion, a breakdancer, and I've worked in Hollywood movies as a stunt or fighting choreographer for $5 per day salary. I spent countless days as homeless. I escaped the poverty in 2014, and since then I have worked abroad in over 20 countries in the dirtiest, filthiest, and worst paid jobs with the worst treatment. This is how I finance my travels. My name is Richard. I never had a car or a home. I never had my own house. I have nothing else in my life but a backpack. I've been traveling since 2014. 100 countries, 7 continents, 800 books, and 3 languages. And this is my story. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are about 400 or 500 people worldwide who have visited every country in the world. I would like to emphasize how quickly their number is growing. Let's take a look at the graphs. Between 1990 and 2000, there were a total of 18. And then from 2000 to 2010, it increased to 53. And if you look at the next decade, just in 2019, they achieved nearly as many numbers in 1 year. Unfortunately, the COVID pandemic disrupted their plans to feed their egos. Just imagine how much they suffered because they couldn't visit a different country every day and couldn't share their travel photos every 2 hours. But let's be serious. There are probably more who have traveled to every country, but nobody knows for sure how many there are. They simply are not members of any travel group, or they are just not active on social media, or they just don't want to be on the main page of the news. For me, they are the real travelers, not those who spending more times online sharing their stories, pictures and videos than they do outside experiencing real adventures. It's likely no more than 500 people. And their number is growing faster and faster year by year because of the easier visa system and easier transport system. Technically, every week I meet someone who starts saying that they will be the greatest traveler of all time. I'm simply fed up with their egoism. Maybe you are starting to understand why I don't have many traveler friends after 10 years of traveling the world. I find friends more among people who are much less experienced than among them. Today, there are officially 193 countries in the world, recognized by the United Nations, and 6 or 8 more that are only partially recognized, like Kosovo, Palestine, or Taiwan, and so on and so on. And the next type of snobbery theme is linked here. And what about this guy? He has visited 300 countries around the world. Yeah, you can see this with your own eyes. And believe me, there are dozens of them, or maybe hundreds of them online. But 300 countries? On which planet? On the Proxima Centauri b? Or in the Lalande 21185b? Or where? That person must be a space traveler, or just have serious problem with the numbers. Or maybe a time traveler? Yeah, I think so. Maybe if in the future will be more countries, he just went to the future and came back and visited 300, 400 countries. Or what is this madness? And I am not just talking about this guy. There are dozens of them online. You can find in the news. He visited 300, 400 countries. Where? And they called a travel expert. Someone who can't even count. And do you see? It's the typical fake news. Or they're just giving a number which is partly true, but not as they claim. I will explain this to you now. I am not a simpleton, okay? I know what they are talking about. There are several traveler clubs that count territories or isolated islands that have their own language or even their own government. They have a list and it's about 300 and 400 territories. But it's not one country. Even these people don't call themselves as a country. No problem. Looks good on the main news page. Do you know what this is all about? Because it's no longer big news to say that I've been to every country in the world. Other 400, 500 people have visited already. What's the big deal? Okay, I give the credit. Still a big thing. Yes, I admit it. But not in this community. It's no longer big news. These egocentric tourists need something extra to make the news. And that is why they talk crazy and share false facts or figures. And the next two travelers will join them. Two different individuals who describe themselves as the first person to visit every country without flying. Oh, a new chapter. I want you to focus on the fact that the same news has been shared twice by different people. So, who was the first? However, I am not stupid. I understand that the publisher did not say he is the first. He just quoted what this traveler said about himself. But you see with your own eyes. Just a few years difference and the same news but from a different person. I am the first one. No, I am the first one. Listen, I respect both of them, okay? They are well-traveled persons. I give the credit. I just don't understand why necessary this comedy. I am the first. No, I am the first. And it's, you don't read the news or what? This is why you should not believe everything in the news. And other someone who describe himself out loud, I am the first. I am the first, huh? By the way, I really don't want to get into this topic. Maybe in another video. But I'm 99% sure about that. That's not possible. I mean to travel every country in the world without fly. I don't think so. I have no doubt that these gentlemen have had incredible experiences. And they done something what only a few people in the world. But they just over the top marketing. They want to be famous, I understand this. And this is why they're saying a lot of unrealistic details about the journey. Because it's more sellable, as I said. You know, sometimes I say that. Just because you learn to swim, you don't have to lie and say that your fish fins have grown. Because that's what a lot of travelers do. Ah, that's my favorite part. I simply can't believe that what I see. Rich snobs competing. Who can spend their money faster and feeding their egos. Race to see who can spend as little time as possible in a country. It's the best not to go there and then you won. Why you should be envy of them? You don't have to. Lot of people adore them when they see it on the news. The people who adore them and going to a public presentation and just watching the stories, they never do the math. Some of them are the fastest experts. Experts. They say they traveled all countries in the world in 2 or 3 years maximum. Fellas, let's count together. 2 years is 730 days. If we take 193 countries as a basis, that means less than 4 days spent on average in each country. Is that something to be jealous about? Is this what we should adore? And they call themselves experts. Think about how many times a flight can be cancelled or delayed by 1 day. Or think of the heavy rains. Sometimes there are rains for days. These people sometimes literally see nothing of a country. They just have a stamp or a selfie from the terrace of a luxury hotel, and that is it. They have no idea how much money they spend. As I said before, I met with this man who traveled 25 countries in a month. And there is this Norwegian man who visited 19 countries in 24 hours. But what I respect about this guy, he himself admitted that this is not worth travel. Yeah, this is not. And yet, he is going to be on the main page of travel news. So, he is the best, isn't he? Fellas, this is not worth travel. These are just rich snobs who lost the reality and the value of exploring culture. And it wasn't enough just once to travel all countries in the world, because now too many people have done it already. Then came the madness and they go second time. I had a conversation with this man who visited 25 countries in 1 month, and he said he was close to being the second person in the world who visited all countries second time. Yeah, I don't know you get it. He wants to be the second one who visited all countries in the world second time. And the conversation went like this. Me. But mister, I have seen it on the news. Already 3 persons visited all countries in the world twice. And him. No, that's not true. Only 1 person have ever done that. They just say they do that, but they didn't. Okay. You know, from this point, I did not want to argue with him. But I wanted to say, mister, they could say same about you. You never done it, you're just saying it. We only talked 2 or 3 minutes maximum, and the whole conversation was like, I asked the person a question and he just answered. Like an interview. He did not even want to know my name. He did not know in 10 years I have been to over 100 countries. He just did not care. I felt I was talking to a superstar. And actually he is. They are the superstars or celebrities of traveler communities. A person who already traveled all countries in the world, and now he's going to a second round, just because he wants to be the second one who visited all countries twice. What's the goal? I don't get it, or maybe I am the wrong one. Someone could explain me this. No, this is total madness. I met another young man who was like 25 years old, and he had been to every country in the world. Almost the same conversation, like a movie star. I asked the question, and he just responded in the shortest sentences. He did not care who I was or how I was traveling. He was just focusing on himself. And he said that, I think I am the most traveled person nowadays. Okay, if you say so. He said his story is very special, and I asked him why, and he answered, because I traveled all countries in the world. Okay, but why is it more special than the others who've done that? Narcissism. There is nothing special about it. They have countless money, they have strong passport, and they are native English speakers. English is the main language in tourism worldwide. Listen, as I said it before, I admitted this is a special thing. But out of that 500 who done it already, there is nothing special about it. Look, I have no right to criticize someone and tell them what to spend their money on and where. It's a personal business. I admit it. A small part of my frustration is due to my jealousy at how much money some of them spend in 1 month that I probably haven't spent in the last 20 years of my life. But I wouldn't make a video just because I'm jealous. The reason I criticize them is because they completely introduce themselves as they do something with this egoistic madness. Like a noble mission or something. But come on, there is nothing noble about it. This is not about the journey. This is just a contest. An ego-feeding contest. And believe me, some of them are really good at marketing. And millions of people following them on social media. They make incredible money with their videos. Millions of people click on this fake news like, I've been to 300 countries. Why there are only 200, give or take a few. Or this, I am the first person, while he is not the first. You know, I'm a member of a few different travel clubs. There was also a time when I followed closed groups online. I thought I could learn something from these people, but after a point I just realized that there is nothing to learn. Many of them just post online what they are eating in that moment, sitting in the airport, in a bar, in a restaurant, or in a safari, in 24 hours. Every 2 or 3 hours a new stream. But you will never see them posting, I am volunteering somewhere, or I visited orphanages and I just supported them with some money. And I never seen anything like this. And not because they are modest and they just don't want to share to anybody. No, I'm telling you why. Let's be honest. Come on. That person who's sharing his life in 24 hours, that is not a modest person. And this is the only thing what he wouldn't share. No, they're just not sharing this because they simply do not do this. Because when they're spending 4 days in a country, they simply don't have time to this. Understandable. And they don't care to do this type of things. Who cares to say that, okay, I'm volunteering since a month or 2 months? Before you criticize and ask me who the hell I am, let me introduce myself and my journey in 2 minutes. I spent 8 months in Thailand and started learning English there. I spent 4 months with locals and elephants on a farm. I learned how to ride an elephant, learn about the culture and some Thai words. I was eating what they eating and I lived as they lived. I helped them with farming and their Puritan lifestyle. Video of this story below in the description or in my channel. Second, 1 month with the Maasai tribe. I spent 1 month with Maasai tribes in Tanzania. No electricity and no internet for 1 month. While others have traveled 20-25 countries in a month, I spent 1 month just here, living a completely nomadic lifestyle. Video of this is below. Third, 2 months with Bedouins in the Jordanian desert. No internet for 1 month and I slept under the stars. I learned to train and ride camels. I started to learn Arabic languages. Video below in the description. Fourth, 2 weeks around the baobab trees in Madagascar. During my travels, I spent nearly a year volunteering and helping poor people, children, or orphans. I forced myself to learn at least 3 different languages. We are talking only 4 or 5 countries, and I already spent over 1 year in these places. And what an experience! While others just spending 3-4 days in a country and breaking the Guinness World Records and become just some kind of traveler celebrity. Look my story. I want to be your inspiration. Oh man, how hypocritical. What inspiration are you thinking of? To spend the money as fast as possible? Or what kind of inspiration? You know this, I want to be your inspiration tourists. You know how they travel? I know because I saw them 100 times. So, they going to the airport, buy taxi, which is expensive, but nothing wrong with that. Then they buying a first class ticket or sometimes renting even a room in the plane. Yes, you heard me there. There are some plane services where you have a private room. So they are arriving to their destination. I try to find the public transport because it's cheaper and I have more connections with the people. They catch a private taxi, which is sometimes crazy expensive. Then they go into a 5-star hotel, while I'm going to a local house or some cheap motels. Expensive hotels, expensive foods, expensive transportations, safaris, for example. And they spend just only a few hours on the street what they have to spend to make their videos or the selfies. By taxi, they're visiting the most touristic attractions, squares, castles, temples, spending 3 days, 4 days like this, then they moving to the next country. And then, by expensive taxi, they going to the airport and moving to the next country. That's it. They never will have significant and memorable time in these countries. They never will make friendship there. They will just only see that what a tour agents want to show them. Nothing else. To them, the world is just like a movie set. They just want to see these rainbows or colorful pink lifestyle, you know. They never see the real suffer or the real good things there. I am surprised how many subscribers and followers they have. And the comments under their videos or pictures. This woman who calls herself as the fastest and youngest American, how brave she is. A fearless girl who should be a role model for many women. How talented. And she's traveling with the same lifestyle what I was just describing here. From hotel to hotel, from airport to airport. And the people adore her. It's unbelievable. I just don't understand what that means, talented or travel expert. What is the knowledge in that? All you need to do is just to find a travel agency and they will organize you everything. For some countries, you have to wait weeks for your visa, even with American passport. And if you spend just 3-4 days in a country, you will not even have time for that. That means someone else organizing your own visa in the background. And you're just traveling wherever you just can. Fearless or brave. To visit war countries or severe war zones. That's not braveness. That's irresponsibility. And the people adore her. Look, if someone entering to a war zone, so without any helmet or bulletproof vest or any other equipment, or entering to a terrorist zone, just because of fun, or just because of make of video, or just because the person do not believe in the danger, that's irresponsibility. And that is the real childish behavior. And thousands paid their respect to them in their comments. This partly happened to these cyclists in Tajikistan who were killed by ISIS terrorists. If you can believe the news, some of them did not even believe that the ISIS terrorist group existed. Look, just to be clear, I don't want to criticize them. I'm criticizing those who inspiring them and adoring them with their comments, oh, how you are brave. Because you're entering to a war zone or a terrorist zone. This is madness. I want to be an inspiration, huh? And not like go somewhere and learn something there, skills or languages, or make deeper connection with the locals, or make friendship, make yourself happier. No, I want to be an inspiration because I am the fastest and youngest and the only one thing these fastest travelers can teach you is that how to spend your money in the stupidest way. Not like how to build a better world somehow with my travel on my way. No, not at all. They are too young to have this money by own. Look, if you want to travel all countries in the world, you will need at least 100,000 minimum, but I would say 200 or 300,000. I could make another video about it because it's a very complex topic, but I would say over 200,000. If someone is 20 or 22 years old and have this money already, and the person did not even finish the university, that means the person never worked for that money. Just get from the parents. Which, listen, there is nothing wrong with that. Okay, that's not a shameful thing. I don't say that. But don't say that you want to be an inspiration because you did not even work for that money. No, listen. Someone who's saying out loud, I want to be an inspiration, that person is just wants to be famous. Wants more subscribers and followers. And making more money because of it. Or making money from the YouTube videos. It is the next topic that related here. The last year I worked in Denmark. Oh, by the way, I have worked in over 20 countries across 6 continents, and I've been volunteering in 15 countries. The total is 35 countries. But let's back to the story. So, last year I worked in a cattle farm in Denmark. Here are the pictures. Yes, that is me. Feeding the calves and milking the cows. I know, today physical labor is considered shameful. But that's how I earn money for my travels. I know it is shameful. In the 21st century, physical labor is considered shameful. I am a loser. I admit it. I have heard this a million times already. So, I share these photos on one of the online forums of our travel groups. A group filled with these travel experts and most traveled persons who visited all countries in the world. So, when I shared these pictures, some of them were shocked, and I was shocked too by the reaction of them. Do you work? Wow! Is this real? Or is this just for fun? This is not true. Is that you? that reminds me of the movie Coming to America. When King Joffrey Jaffer went to meet his son, Prince Akim, he just realized that his son, the prince, was working. My son works? I think the people in this chat forum were completely shocked by the pictures I shared. Someone working in this type of jobs. You know, I am not the type to argue online. I think that is a very, very deep level of intelligence. But you know, when I saw this question, do you work? I just wanted to respond something like this. Yeah, because someone must. Or, yeah, while you are traveling and spending money, someone must to clean up your room and prepare your food. Because you have to understand that normally these are the jobs I'm doing. Hotel, reception, travel agency, farming, anything. So, which means I am the one who's serving these people. But that's not their fault. Mocking me, or probably it was not even a mock. It's just someone gets shocked because never seen someone doing this type of jobs in this type of traveler groups. That's ridiculous, you know. These fastest travelers who break the records every week, they sending a very, very bad message to the world and to the travel community too. YouTubers or vloggers who just creating a quick video about the journey, about the 24 hours in a city or in a country. You know what I'm talking about. YouTube is full of these videos titled, I spent 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. And they share 3 of them each week. And why do I think this is so bad? Look, the traveling has lost its meaning today. They want to be on the main news. They just want to gain subscribers and followers and make a lot of money from this. They're not traveling because they want to travel and make money. They're just traveling because they can make money from it. And this is why they have to travel as fast as they can, because they need to share their photos, their videos, their stories as fast as possible. Look, for me, sometimes it takes months to make a video like that. Because first, I'm working somewhere in a horrible place and make the money for my journey. Second, I'm going to the place and staying there 1 or 2 months and making my videos while I'm enjoying the stay there. And third one, it takes weeks sometimes to edit those videos. The world is becoming increasingly faster due to the internet. If you want to break the records or become the most famous traveler, you have to be the fastest, or you have to travel to the most exclusive places what only the millionaires can afford. Most of times, the poor travelers who have visited less countries but have more experience, they will be much less famous than they are. First, it's a really bad message because only the richest and only the strong passport holders can afford this type of journeys, like Americans, Germans, Britons. It is very simple. If you have money and you are using wisely, you will be the most famous traveler and you will travel anywhere, wherever you want. There is nothing difficult in this. Second, it's bad because they lose the touch with the reality and the real life. They do not have connection with the local people or with the culture. They are not focusing on living in the moment and enjoying the freedom. I have seen hundreds of times this when we are on a trip to a jungle or in a safari or somewhere, and the person is 24 hours just streaming the videos where he is and not even looking around, just with the phone. This is madness. This is not connection with the nature. This is just like a job. And just because they're traveling very fast, this is also forcing the others to travel very fast if they want to keep the tempo and they want to be famous. Because they can share every hour something new. But those who just sharing 1 month something, those snobs never will sit down somewhere and spend more time, weeks or months, just to get to know better the place. I remember sometimes I spent weeks with a family just because I enjoyed to stay with them. Even the house or the area was terrible, but I enjoyed to help them and share the moment. But these 24 hours travelers or who just spending few days in a country, they never will do this. As I said, a lot of them just travel not because they want to explore the world. They just travel because this is how they make the money. And honestly, I don't blame them. It's much easier to make money like this than milking cows, for example, all day. I've done this, so I know how difficult it is. And for underpaid wages, yeah, that's actually, they are the masters of traveling. I have to admit it. Oh, by the way, one of the travelers is another first one, travel expert, or whatever they call themselves. He just explained me how much does it cost to make a public presentation. I just wanted to find out how they became so famous, and he just explained me. He rented a conference room in a big shopping mall for 2 hours. He paid $2,000 just to rent this conference room for 2 hours. And he paid $300 for flyers. And he spent countless hours to sharing this event online. So the total cost is, include everything, approximately $3,000 with petrol, with the water, with everything. And if you write a book, you can sell those on this presentation. Or if you make videos, you will get back a lot of money from that. From this amount of money, $3,000, sometimes I'm traveling for 6 or 8 months. It depends how fast I'm spending my money. I'm just visiting less countries, staying more time in one place, volunteering, or just helping the locals and renting a local house or local room, which in poor countries, cheap countries, it costs very, very low budget. My other favorite part. So, these snobs just realized that that's not big enough news if they're saying, I traveled all countries in the world, because it's just money, as we see. If you have money, you can do it. There is no challenging in that. You just have to want it and find a good travel agent, and that's it. But some of them realized they can be on the main page of the news if they pretend to be poor. And then the new madness just broke out. Bam! And they call themselves the low-budget traveler. Or he is traveling without money. Seriously, that is not the first time I saw this in the news. He is traveling without money. I'm getting old. And they know something about marketing. Look, if you are poor and you want to travel in the world, and there are a lot of poor people in the world who wants to travel, you will click on that news or you will open that video because you want to know how to travel without money or how to travel in low budget, which is a lot of times is just fake. And that's when you click or open the video, they're making the money on you, which costs nothing to you. You're just wasting your time. Let me tell you something. Those who traveling without money or traveling on low budget, they must have big beard, lot of dirty clothes, and they always sleeping outside under the rain, and they just eating the food what they found in the trash, or they begging the money on the street, or just using the people and take advantage on those locals who feel sorry for them and give some donation for them. And is that respectable? Or is that an inspiration? Traveling without money? What is this madness? Or low budget travelers? They don't know what they are talking about. Rich who pretend to be poor on the social media. Ridiculous. I would like to emphasize who the real travelers are in my eyes. The real travelers are those who share much less information about themselves and about their journey on the internet. And now let's see who was the first traveler to visit every country in the world. He is probably the gentleman who was the first. His name is Rauli Virtanen. Sorry for the bad pronunciation. He is a Finnish traveler. He traveled to every country until 1988. Even his life story is interesting. I respect him. And he traveled before the internet. And let's look the other example. I recently found this in the news. This Filipino-American lady, her name is Luisa Yu. She has completed all the countries in 50 years until 2023. I don't know much about her background, but from the brief information I have read, I think it is one of the most realistic travel stories I have ever read. I've only mentioned these two, but I could mention dozens of others. These types of travelers are much more real to me than those who started their careers or journey at the age of 18 or 19 and have probably never even worked a day in their lives. They rush around the world trying to present themselves as if they are on some noble mission or something. And otherwise, you don't have to travel all countries in the world if you want to be a great traveler. I met travelers who just traveled 20 or 30 countries, but I think they are much greater travelers than this. The moral of the story: the more often people appear in the news, the less real travelers they generally are. They just know something about marketing. We have no idea how much money they're spending to feed their ego and make a fame for themselves. I would say that the real travelers spend at least 6 or 8 years to travel all countries in the world. And just think about it. If you would spend 1 month in each country, even then it would take 20 years to visit all the 200 countries in the world. And that's a lot of time. And I think no one is doing that. And it's still just 1 month. It's not that big time. But these young people who traveling all countries in the world in 2 or 3 years, or those middle-aged people who visiting 20 countries in 1 month, and believe me, doesn't matter how much country you're visiting. The point is that how much things you can get from that country, how many new things you can discover there, how deep relations you build with the locals. That's the point, to live in the moment, not to rush and not waste the time and just sit and boring. If you have only visited 10 countries across 5 or 6 continents and you spend 6 months in each places, I think you will be much bigger and greater traveler than this just rushing through the world in 2 years and call themselves, oh, travel expert. And on the end, just a small advice. If you want to find a real ideal, a real traveler who you can respect and who you can adore, try to find someone in your community, not online, not other side of the world, and not even me. I don't want to be your inspiration, because I don't think I deserve it or I'm worth it. But I'm sure you can find someone who is well traveled even in your community. At the end of the video, I would like to share with you a personal story of disappointment about travelers. As if there hadn't been enough disappointment until now in this video, I warn you, this has nothing to do with world travel. Okay? I'm just sharing my personal emotions and personal disappointments. And if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to watch it, because it's a sad story. If you want to hear a very depressing story, just continue to watch. But I warned you. This story proves that how unhelpful some travelers can be, even in these traveler clubs. If you follow my YouTube channel, you should know that I came from a very extreme poverty. A country in East Europe where I used to work as a stuntman or fight choreographer in Hollywood movies for $7 or $10 per day. Yes, you heard me well. The same work is paid $1,000 or $1,500 per day for an American stuntman who has same experience and working on the same scene in the movie. So, thanks for this fair world, fair system, and thanks for the beloved capitalism, even if I am not a communist. Several times I became homeless. Not because I was a junkie, it's because I never tried any drugs. I was not alcoholic. I never spent money on gambling or prostitutes. No. Simple $7 or $10 do not cover your daily needs in that country. Okay? I spent significant time on the street in sub-zero degrees. I have nothing in my life except this backpack. Oh, there is something. These walls are fully of my certificates and awards, but I have nowhere to put them. They are somewhere in a box in a storage. This was my old room, back in the old times. So, this story happened recently. I haven't found a job in the UK for months, in the last year. I know, you can blame me. I don't want to explain myself to anyone. It's not that easy nowadays as most of people think. UK is overpopulated. 100 people waiting for same jobs. You know, there is the saying when the migrants stealing the jobs from the locals, but now it's much worse because the migrants stealing the jobs from the other migrants, which is nonsense. Several times they called me from agencies, do you speak Ukrainian, Russian? No, why? Because if you could speak, you could start tomorrow in a storage or a hotel or a restaurant. because of the lot of refugees. But I don't blame them, okay? I don't want to bring here the politics. Look what I'm going to tell you. So, after a few months, I spent all of my money and became homeless again. And believe me, I am the one who could not believe it. It will happen. And I spent few weeks in a homeless shelter. What you do not even want to try to imagine. How horrible is that? 20 people in one room. And you know what kind of people sometimes. There was a meeting of a travel group for members like me. So I went there. There were a lot of people from many different countries at the meeting. I had the opportunity to talk to people there and ask them to help with any work. Okay, I told them any type of work. I just want to be paid correctly, and that's it. And look, some of them are real millionaires. Okay, I just heard a conversation at the next table. Someone said, oh, I went to the South Pole and I spent $30,000. And it was just a 1 month trip. At the other table, I just heard a conversation. He said, oh, I spent $5,000 in 1 month just to travel. Look, there is nothing wrong with it. It's their money. They can spend as they want. I'm just mentioning this because I want you to understand what kind of people are around me. Okay? Not poor people. And the host of the meeting mentioned that kindly, this is not the best platform to find job. Okay, I have to accept it. I'm terribly sorry. Maybe it's my fault. I am homeless. Doesn't matter whose fault. I have to solve this problem. I have to get out of this situation. The end of the story, no one gave me any tip. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about informations. Any tips for that about available jobs here or there, or maybe you could work for me, or just exchanging the phone number on the end of the meeting? Nobody. Nobody. And you know, there is this farce when you work somewhere and they're saying that, oh, this is not just a job, this is like a family. And this, they're just forcing you to accept this madness, which is not true. Except a few places, yeah, it's true. When it's a strong community. But normally it's not true. And they said same in this traveler group. Oh, this is more than just a club. This is a family. Yeah, I can say it. And why am I telling you this story? Not just because they are travelers, because some of them on that meeting was person who traveled all countries in the world. And that's why this story belonged to this video. And they knew me because I was active online in the forums, in the chat rooms. So they knew my name, who I am. They are millionaires and no one even just tried to give me some advice or anything. I also share my problem in online traveler groups and look what happened. You don't know the details, but you know, we are closed groups, only paid members are there, okay? Which means they should be real travelers, the first ones, the experts, you know what I mean? A few hundred travelers read this message and a few of them responded, but not in private. Good luck, bro. All the best. No worries. We are a family. We help each other. Don't be shy. And so on and so on. And only 2 of them replied privately. One of them was an Irish man who was looking for a mechanic. A very kind and very respectful person. I appreciated to him this. I said, thanks, but I don't have experience in this type of job. The other one was a Canadian man, a travel expert, another one, who messaged me privately and started to criticizing me. Seriously. If you were in my shoes, in my situation, would you talk to these people after such a situation? I don't think so. People who sometimes spend $10,000 per month on their journey and they don't care about the other traveler's problem. So, what am I expecting? When someone gets shocked just because I share the picture about cows and I'm saying I'm milking cows and feeding calves, what can I expect from these people? And someone just asking me, do you work? My son works. I am the only fool because I hoped empathy. Do you work? Oh.